Hi, I'm James Heimbach, the product manager for the verified testing group at Gitlab. And someone asked me the other day how I present my roadmap to various stakeholders, both internal and external. So I wanted to put together a quick walkthrough of how I present at least the testing roadmap to different stakeholders, and how we use Gitlab at Gitlab to do that. I will note that any data presented here is for informational purposes only. The content, like the problem statements or opportunities, epics, issues, is very, very likely to change over time, since this is just a snapshot in time. So first, I'm going to start with a very, very high level and don't actually use GitLab for this, but this is what I call our now, next, and later view. So this is usually stated as problem statements, things that we want to solve, things that we want to do for our customer. And it's really big themes. These are very, very big and broad things. They'll scope down to at least an epic, if not larger. And it's things that we'll be doing in the future. So the now items are usually things that are happening within this current milestone, sometimes even, or at least this quarter. Next things are likely things that we have validated a problem. We think that that's the best problem for us to go solve. It has the most reach, it has the best impact for customers. We know customers want it because we validated it, and we're into solution validation on it, or have even completed solution validation for that. And then our later is, here's the maybe even a problem that we validated, we have not started our solution validation on, or we're in the middle of problem validation on, but we think that it's the next biggest opportunity after our next item to move forward with our direction in a category to solve a big customer problem. So this roadmap is great for external audiences. It's great for our field teams, especially when you have a small amount of time to talk about what's on the roadmap and you can't really dig into 35 issues. But it really speaks to the value drivers that we have at GitLab and the personas and the problems that they have as they're often making those buying decisions. This also goes hand in hand with our category direction pages, and really the top vision items there, where something that's out in the later will probably be pulled from this vision section. And so we update these often to reflect our current thinking of where we want the category to go, issues that we think are tied to that. And this is always up to date and always publicly accessible. So it's a great place to point customers at to start to think about that high level, what's the roadmap look like for this category? So then getting down a little bit in altitude, we have in Verify, we use this view, one of the job views, or one of the board views, broken up by quarter of big things that we want to work on. So these are key deliverables. Often it's a key piece of a larger epic, kind of the last thing that we might deliver, or a couple of points of key customer functionality that we want to deliver, an outcome that we want to deliver. You'll see that as we're in this current quarter, we have a lot more items in here that we're still working on because they're much better defined. We've spent a lot of time working on them. It gets a little bit less and less as we go out further and further, and the descriptions get fuzzier and fuzzier. And sometimes in these, maybe we haven't even defined a problem statement. So these might fall out if we find that the problem isn't great. So this view is great, again, for the field teams to just kind of validate that problems that we're thinking about or opportunities that we're thinking about match up with what customers are focused on, that they care about. It gets them excited and hopefully gets them to talk to us to validate that problem and go back and validate a solution with them, make them a partner in development. This view is also great for the trio of me, the product manager, our product designer, and our engineering manager, as we're looking a quarter or two out and starting to think about what's going to need design. How does this fit in with other features? Where are there cross-stage opportunities? What kind of technical investigation do we need to do, or cross-team collaboration do we need to do to work together to get this implemented? And so we can pull in the appropriate designer or PM or engineering lead to have those conversations as soon as possible as part of the process. And then these items on here often match up to our what's next and why section, talking about what is coming up next for the category, or even the maturity plan as we're thinking about what do we need to move this category forward, things we've often validated through our job speed done process. And then as we're thinking about epics, I use this view, an epic roadmap, just to keep track of how we're progressing through those. Really, this is an internal view for me and the engineering manager, product designer sometimes, to see how are things going. Are we stretching something out? Do we need to scope down to try to get this delivered? And just to keep that scope creep down, how to keep things tight and moving. So as we get closer, or at GitLab, we release each month on the 22nd. And in testing, we plan for those milestones using one of these planning issues. So right now, currently, as of September 28th, 2021, the team is currently working on or doing development in the 14.4 milestone. And so I'm wrapping up my planning on 14.5. I've already recorded a refinement kickoff, or will be soon maybe, to walk through this planning issue with the team. And so what we have here is always the theme of our milestone. And these always roll up, or I try to get them to roll up to one of our larger product investment themes for the year, and the top deliverables of how they deliver towards those things that contribute to it. We also have research, anything that's happening as part of our research, problem validation or solution validation during this time, or technical research that we need to do. And then our designer will add design issues in here. We have a couple that'll be coming up for 14.5 and need to update the planning issue, but that's a good time for us to talk to the team about, here's what we're designing. What questions do you have about implementation? Do we have the data that we need to present this view? If it's something of an interface, questions like that. Also like to show them the active research projects or problem validation, solution validation that we're doing, and how that maps back to our quarterly plan and how we're progressing towards that. So once this gets kicked off, or the milestone gets kicked off, then we go down to really our issue board. I like it in this board view, sorted by our different columns. Some people like it in just the list view of the issues. I like to look at it this way so that we can see, where things blocked, not just in our blocked category, but maybe what's been sitting in review for a while. How can we help move things along? Or what's been sitting in dev for a while, maybe it's not quite really ready for development, or even still in planning breakdown. This is for the current milestone. So we have a couple of things that we need to get moving forward. And this really becomes our single source of truth once a milestone kicks off. And I like to have it really be the source of truth even before that, if possible. So we're not looking at multiple places to figure out what we're working on today. So those are a few of the views that we use, at least in the testing team at GitLab, to show off our roadmap and to those various stakeholders, internal and external, as we're planning for our milestone. Thanks.